Why, hello everyone. I'm using a new thing that my Dana-sama had brought me home. Um, and I wanted to have some commentary over this disgustingness here. Like, what is this? What is this? Can somebody explain to me what this is? This doesn't look like breakfast. You know what this looks like? Puke. It looks like somebody vomited in the frying pan and she's putting cheese and ketchup all over it. It's disgusting. Look at this. If I was her husband, I would not eat this. I would throw it at her. What is this? That's friggin' disgusting, yo. Gross. I wouldn't eat that. I'd rather die. I would die from starvation. I would not eat that. Watch this. This is even worse. This is not a coffee. This is feces mixed with water. That's what this is. Look at this. Watch this. This is not coffee. This is defecation. This is disgusting. Look at her. I would not marry that. Look at this. Look at this. This nasty Man, I almost cussed. She made me mad. Look at this nest. I would not drink this. Guys, this woman is trying to kill her husband. This is poison. I do not... Where's her ring? She's not married. She's obviously not married. She has no ring. No ring on her finger. She's lying. She's not married. She's wasting food. Look at this. It's the nastiest thing I've ever seen in my life. Who would eat this? My Dana-sama would throw this at the wall and said, now why did I throw my food? It's not edible, that's why. This is not edible food. What in the world? And she doesn't even give him a real plate. She gives him a frickin' paper plate. Like he's a child. And who the hell cooks frickin' ground meat in Dr. Pepper? Now, you'll see some real food. Real food that's made with absolute love and care. Something that woman knows nothing about. For real. I really don't know why these videos come up in my newsfeed. I think it's just to like get me mad. Because I really hate it when women disrespect their husbands like this. You guys know this by now. When I see a woman disrespecting her husband, dishonoring him in some way, I got to talk about it. I got to screen record it and I got to vent. Because it's disgusting. It's really, really disgusting behavior. I don't know where this has come from. I don't know why women are doing this. But this isn't funny. It's not funny. Do you know what she made for him? This woman. She threw hot dogs on top of sliced Kraft cheese. Okay? You know, the nasty cheese. Not like even the good slices, the bad slices. Throws it in a pan. Lets it melt all over the frickin' hot dogs. Puts ketchup all over it, cracks an egg in there, shifts it around, and then puts it on a plate with some smiley face frickin' Michelinas, you know, those weird Michelina smiley face potato things. And then puts more ketchup on it. And that's apparently for her blue-collar husband who works 15 hours a day. Yeah. And then the second thing she did was make instant coffee, but it looked like poop. Instant coffee that looked like poop. And then the other one, she put Dr. Pepper in a frying pan and then threw in some ground meat with an egg, rolled it around a couple of times, and then put it on a plate. Like, didn't even fully cook the whole thing. And then slapped some Kraft sliced cheese on it. Like, that was dinner, you know? She's like, he was hungry. What the? That isn't even food. You know what I mean? It's outrageous. It makes me mad. It makes me mad, y'all. It makes me so mad. It gives me stomach aches. So I thought I would show you what actual food looks like when it's made with love. Tender love and care. Where you take the time to actually do something incredible for your husband and your kids. Now that woman, she was not married. I looked at her fingers. I was like, if she was really married, this man would not eat this. No man would eat that. No man. I don't care. Even if he was a homeless man, he would not eat that. You know why? Because that's hate. They would be eating hate. She's going to be single for the rest of her life. Ain't nobody going to pick that up. Ain't nobody. And I pity the fool that does. Now, as you can see in here, I do not use Kraft sliced cheese. I use Ziggy's Havarti because it's actual sliced from a brick cheese. Know what I mean? It's not like that weird processed nast that you get from Kraft singles. No, you will not catch that up in here. No, I don't like it. If I have to, I will hand slice the cheese from a cheese brick. I ain't gonna have that nast up in here causing stomach aches and people puking all over the house. Ain't no way. I don't know how anybody, let alone a man, put up with that. I would not. I'm telling you, it's disgusting. The behavior is so gross, y'all. So gross. Can't even with it. I can't even. You know what Dana-sama said to me one day when he watched me making sandwiches for him? He said, "How do you make sandwich making look like art?" I said, "I don't know. How does it look like art?" And he said, "It's an art. Look at the way you do it. It's so precise and perfect. Like art." And I started laughing. But he seriously, hands down, loves my sandwiches. He loves them. He also loves my dinners. Mostly because I don't just half fry ground meat in Dr. Pepper with an egg and slap some cheese on it. Nah. Y'all know I like good ingredients. Even though we're considered borderline low income area. Well, actually, we are low income. we live paycheck to paycheck, so we're very low income. But what I mean is, I make sure that we have what we need and we don't eat like homeless people. You know what I mean? I make sure that there's some actual food in the house. And I make things that don't feel like we are poor. You know what I mean? I have a weekly schedule, as you guys know. Meals are already prepped and ready to go. I stick to that menu when I go for grocery shopping. It saves us money, for one. It's really easy to get from paycheck to paycheck, for two. And when we have a little bit of extra in between, we like to do a little bit with it, like maybe have a pizza night, or once in a while for a birthday, we'll take the kids somewhere. Like this time I decided to take them to the theaters because they've never gone before. They're going to be going to the theaters on Friday. So, you know, like, this is what happens when you can budget properly. And I love making food for my husband that he enjoys to have, that he can't wait until lunchtime. He can't wait until breakfast. He can't wait till dinner. Like, he's just looking forward to all the delicious foods. You know what I mean? That's the way a husband should be feeling. He shouldn't be like, you know, what am I waking up to today? Slop or somebody sneezing in a freaking plate and then giving it to me. You know what I mean? Literally, I don't even know what that woman was thinking when she did that. I really don't. I'm pretty sure she thought it was funny. It wasn't. It made me sick. It made me so sick to my stomach. Like, I felt sorry. If she was married, I would feel very sorry for that man. Man. That man would need to be, have an intervention. For real. How could anybody allow somebody to do that? Like, oh, it just makes me so mad. Alright, I think I ranted enough, don't you? Let's get to some readings. How about we do some actual reading, okay? About how we should be treating our beautiful, manly husbands. Yeah. Alright, we left off on chapter 2 in Living Virtuously. So let's start there. Chapter 2, Virtuous Conduct. The heart of her husband doth safely trust in her, so that he shall have no need of spoil. Proverbs 31:11. What does it mean to have the heart of your husband safely trusting in you? There are several ways we can spoil his trust and confidence in us by our conduct, conversation, and commitment. In this chapter, I will share about virtuous conduct. How can our husbands trust in our conduct? Do we behave in a manner that brings disgrace upon our husbands, like that woman? Oh, Lordy. Maybe I am the Lone Ranger here, but I have been guilty of this myself. Yes, I in the past, before coming to Christ, I did do a lot of disrespectful things. Early in my marriage, I conducted myself in a manner that embarrassed my husband. I behaved unseemly, both as a fool and a flirt. Well, I never did flirt, but I did act a fool. The fool. When we would get into group settings, I would get hyper and foolish. It was not uncommon for me to start showing off with my whatever that is. I don't know what that is. Taekwondo? Oh, Taekwondo. Or doing impersonations of different funny characters. All the people would laugh so hard they would nearly cry. It made me feel really good because I love to see people laughing and having a good time. My husband, on the other hand, would feel horrible or horrified. He would bury his head into his hands and just wish for it to be over. For many years, I continued in this foolish conduct because I felt he was overreacting and that he should not care about what others think because he was the head of the home. He felt my conduct was influencing foolish behavior in our children, and it was making others have less respect for me. He said, "Do you want our kids to be fools? When you act like a fool, you give people the impression that you do not take anything seriously." It took me years to see the fruits of my poor conduct, and even more years to understand the shame I had brought on my husband. I was acting in a manner that gave him need of spoil. Being one in marriage means more than an agreement on a slip of paper. It means you are one in your success, one in your joy, one in your failings, and also one in your shame. Unknowingly, I caused my husband to not trust me. This is super important. I've talked about this a few times, right? Finding out, like, you can talk to your husband and ask him what his preferences are for you in a public setting. Like, I asked my husband 1,000 different questions, and I'm pretty sure he was very annoyed, but it worked out because him putting that invested time in helping me understand the way he would like to see me in public spaces helped me practice in public spaces proper conduct so that I was not acting a fool, so I was not embarrassing him. And I still have to practice today because sometimes I'd be acting a fool still sometimes. You know, I catch myself, I slip up, and then I'm like, uh-oh, and I zip it. Close that mouth of mine, and I stand quietly. I have to catch myself. All right, the flirt. A married woman who is flirtatious with other men can cause her husband to wonder and possible to wander. He will always wonder if he really is the apple of her eye, or if she is looking or longing for another. A woman can destroy her husband's trust by how she acts in front of other men. If she dresses in a way that shows off her goods, she is sharing something that is for her husband's eyes only. Many women fail to realize that a husband, although he may love to see his wife looking seductive, would rather not share her seductive look with others. If you can believe it, I used to be a bit of a flirt around other men. By the way, I dressed, combined with my actions. I like to be noticed and enjoyed the positive attention that I'd receive. I would curl my hair, paint my nails, wear gobs of makeup, and even use fake eyelashes. Girls, stop that. You don't need fake eyelashes. And what the hell is this stuff with the eyebrows? Why are you drawing your eyebrows? Why? Why? It don't make any sense to me. It makes even littler sense to me that you would use fake eyelashes. Why? And they be people out here that ain't bald wearing wigs. Why? 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 I wore tight pants and high-heeled boots, low-cut tops, and lots of jewelry. This was about 16 years ago, and yes, I had all 5 of my children, and it was while I was taking wedding photos for one of my business endeavors To the men, I looked available, and I knew they were interested because they would ask for my number. I had lots of offers. I did not realize how serious my conduct was. Not only was I a disgrace to my husband and family, but I was also a stumbling block to many other men. I had no business behaving in that manner. My husband said, "Why are you trying to look like a teenager? You are 32 years old with a family. Why do you want other men to desire you?" I tell you, I have made a lot of foolish choices, but I thank God that He is patient with me. Some people argue that it was my bubbly, friendly personality. To prove my point, I did an experiment. I wore a long black skirt, put my hair in a ponytail, and wore a black modest top. I acted the same. No offers. No men chasing after me and checking me out. Then I had my accident in the midst of this unseemly behavior. It was the best thing that ever happened to me. I was headed on a wrong path, and the crippling pain I endured saved me from my own destruction. As I lay there day and night in utter agony, I pondered my ways. I could do nothing but scream in pain and pray for God to help me bear another minute. In that time of great suffering, God was all I had to lean on, and it was then that I repented from my foolish ways. I will never forget this one cold, dark night, a night that I could not sleep. I could see my life flash before my eyes and see my children helping work on the homestead. I knew that was where I belonged. God gave me a vision to minister alongside my family, to teach the skills of the land He created. As tears poured forth as a river, I knew I had strayed from my calling, and God loved me so much that He would not allow me to go too far. The pale glimmer of the world was no longer important with all its vain glory. So I became steadfast from that moment forth. I will never desire the strange and empty attention of the world. No more compromise. What a blessing to be an ornament of praise and honor to the Lord and to my husband. When I started dressing in more discreet manner, my husband was so relieved. It took such a burden off of him knowing that I was not a stumbling block. My husband will tell me to change my shirt if it is too snug. I am not offended. I feel special that he does not want to share his prize with others. There are other women that would take offense to this. Some women are completely naive and do not have husbands who trust them enough to tell them how they feel about their conduct. I have seen a lot of flirtatious women dress ridiculously seductive. They either act like they do not have a clue, or they make an excuse that their husband is fine with it. Sure, he is fine with whatever you say as long as he is afraid of the ramifications he will have if he says anything against you. Some women are master manipulators. They manipulate their husbands into agreeing with something which is totally against right and the good. A man is no match against a woman who will make his life miserable if he defies her wishes. He has to walk on eggshells to keep the peace in her presence. If he says that the shirt is too tight, she may fly off the handle or ignore him for days. What can he do? He cannot safely trust in her. The moment he tries to lead or tell her how he feels, she will trample the trust he had in their relationship. Women do not realize how important it is for a man to safely trust in her. Keep in mind, I am addressing women. I realize men have many faults and can act inappropriately as well. I speak to you from my own experiences and from the perspective of a wife who desires to be a virtuous woman. May God bless you as you seek Him each day. Let us be that jewel to adorn our Lord and our husband. Let us be a reflection and a glory of our God each day. Lord, help us be all we can be by the grace and mercy of the blood you poured to cleanse and purify our souls. It is the only way we can be prized far above the ruby. Tea Talks of Titus 2. Come sit, have a cup of tea with me. Grab yourself a cup of tea and incline your ear. 10 years have passed, and now I have entered into the role of the aged woman. It is a mandate from God that I should pass along some truths to the next generation which go along with biblical womanhood. The aged women likewise, that they be in behavior as becometh holiness, not false accusers, not given too much wine, teachers of the good things, that they may teach the young women to be sober, to love their husbands, to love their children, to be discreet, chaste, keepers at home, good and obedient to their own husbands, that the word of God be not blasphemed. Titus 2:3-5. And you guys know I have been saying this for how many years now, y'all? How many? Almost 6 years now, y'all. Right? Hold on, let me just fix this here. I want to get comfortable. Throughout this book, let's take a special tea time break together as we go, shall we? Like your grandmother, auntie, sister, or friend, we will sip our tea side by side, and I will hone in on a teaching from Scripture that applies to the chapter you're reading. Here we are focusing on conduct. So let's enjoy our tea together as I teach you about a few of the instructions given in Titus 2:3-5. As I have confessed, I had practiced some pretty ridiculous conduct, and now that I am older, I strive even more to measure up to this mandate of God to be in behavior as becometh holiness. I realize now that my daughters are mothers. I want to exemplify even more what it means to be a woman after God's heart. Even in the practical things, I should not be given too much wine. Good thing I do not have a taste for alcohol. I chose early on in life to abstain completely from alcohol because I come from many generations of alcoholics. Fun fact, so do I. And fun fact, for a while when I was in my early adulthood, I was an alcoholic. But like most things that make me feel like I'm caged, I break free when I feel too caged or too dependent. So what happened was, I had my fun, as you guys could probably imagine, but it got boring quick. And so after a year of being an alcoholic, I stopped cold turkey. It was rough, really rough. Because if you know anything about drinking and then stopping, it's very, very, very difficult. But I did it. Then I would only drink on occasions. I know, you would probably be like, why would you even drink at all? Wouldn't that put you in a spiral? No. Because I was strong-willed, y'all. And you know what's even better? Since then, I only socially drink once a year. Once a year. And I don't crave it. I don't crave to get drunk anymore. Isn't that amazing? Hallelujah. Praise Jesus. Alcohol can relax a person to the point that they allow their better judgment to take a break, and then foolishness will take its place. Let me tell you, I did a lot of foolish things when I was drunk. Lots. Let's talk about being sober. Good idea. Sober is the opposite of the behavior of a fool. I see sober as being wise and grounded in all manner of conduct. I see my husband as a sober man. He thinks before he does anything and makes sure he weighs all the benefits and drawbacks before he executes a plan. He might seem stoic, but I see him as a pillar of wisdom. I think the same thing about my husband. It is a good thing to be sober, to act in a way that promotes peace and order, being sound in judgment and self-disciplined, as well as showing self-control. That's the thing. That's the most important thing. When you have self-control, you can take over yourself and you can stop whatever you're doing that you don't want to be doing. I'm going to give you an example. I was sick, as you guys know. And for that whole entire week, I was brutally sick. I wanted just rest. So I had taken my Ativan that was supposed to be for my panic attacks to rest. I rested and I healed pretty quickly. You know what I mean? Because I just slept. I basically slept it out. But unknowingly, because I was pretty good at not taking them unless I absolutely needed them, unknowingly for one whole week I was taking them steadily. You know what I mean? And if you know anything about benzos, you can get hooked real quick, real fast, and when you try to stop them, you're going to get sick. Like sick. So I thought, oh, I'm not sick anymore, so I stopped taking them. 2 days later, I have a migraine, nausea, stomach cramps, body aches. I'm like feeling like I'm gonna freaking throw up. And I realized, oh no, I'm going through withdrawal. Well, like with alcohol, and like I had to do before with Ativan in 2018 after taking it for 5 months, I put that down. I was like, no, I'm not going to be a slave to this pill. I'm not going to be a slave to a pill. No. So I'm riding it out as we speak, the withdrawal. And I'm not going to ask for any more until October. And then I'm going to make sure that my husband has them with him and I only take them when I need them. I'm not going to take them irresponsibly again. I was doing the responsible thing before by taking them only when I had a panic attack. I stupidly took them to rest while I was sick as a mercy for myself because I didn't want to go to the hospital. Kind of dumb what I did, but it worked. I didn't go to the hospital and I got better quickly. But now I have a problem where I'm withdrawing from accidentally getting hooked on them. See how easily it is to be a fool when you're not discerning and doing things completely. But when you have self-control, you can turn it off. You can turn off the need for it. And that's what I'm doing. I'm turning the need off. You know what I mean? And I'm finding my need in other things. For instance, I'm leaning in prayer to Jesus and asking him to help me through this withdrawal. I've been taking it moment by moment, minute by minute, even though I'm like dizzy one minute, nauseous another minute, cramping and in pain another minute. Like, you guys don't even know. It's been my own personal hell. So, but I'm doing it. I ain't gonna go to the doctor and say, hey, I'm stupid and I got hooked on them. Can we taper me off? No, I'm not gonna do that. I'm gonna get off of them by ripping the band-aid right off. Not even gonna go down the road of tapering off, because that's just a soft landing. I don't want a soft landing. I want to get it done. Know what I mean? That's self-control. Alright. It can be a reference to not being able, or it can be a reference to not being under the influence of alcohol as well. It doesn't say no drink at all. It says not giving too much wine, which I can conclude means I would want to recommend to the younger women in all things use moderation, even with Ativan. Take it only when needed, no other time. Don't be like, oh, I might need it today. No, don't take it for a precautionary. Wait until you're in the thick of your anxiety panic attack and you're about to call 911. That's when you're supposed to take it. If it be an occasional drink, like me now, to know when to say no, or to just have enough for the stomach's sake, and not an occasion of drunkenness. I must teach about being discreet. Being discreet means to be careful and circumspect in one's speech or actions, especially in order to avoid causing offense or to gain an advantage. I was the opposite of discreet. I was always trying to get attention by acting the fool and embarrassing not only my husband or children, but myself. I had to learn the art of being discreet by the many failures and ways I caused offense or embarrassment to others. Now, this is another part that took me years as well. If you guys have been around since the beginning of me on social media, like 2009, okay? That's when I started on social media, 2009. If you guys have been around since then you will know, once upon a time, I could not be discreet. I said what was on my mind. I was blunt. I was bold. I had no filter. I would just say, just blah, just come out. I didn't understand that there's an appropriate time for certain things and an inappropriate time for certain things. I also didn't understand proper social etiquette and social cues. So it was very difficult for me to navigate when to say something and when not to say something. Honestly, to me at the time, which I can look back now and think maybe I should have been thinking a little bit more like common sensely, but honestly at the time I didn't understand why everybody had a problem with me telling them what they wanted, what they asked me to tell them. Like, for instance, if somebody asked me my opinion about something, I would tell them my opinion about it, my honest opinion, not realizing they were asking me to agree with them, to conform and agree with what they were saying, and to hide and stuff down my own opinion. You see, I had no idea. I thought they were asking genuinely what my opinion was. And I'd be genuinely honest, and then they'd get mad. And I didn't understand. I understand now. Took me all this time, nearly 20 years now, to finally realize that when you are in a social setting and when you are dealing with other people, you need to have discretion. Very good self-control and lots of discretion. Home stuff stays at home. Work stuff stays at work. Personal things stay in the personal. You don't bring it into anything else. There you go. The more fallout I recognized through my unseemly behavior, the more I chose to face it and own up to it so that I could gain victory in that area. And as I said, it took me many years, but I finally learned it after a lot of failure and a lot of pain. I finally got there though. It still tries to peek out from time to time, but over the years I have learned to stop, think, and sober up to the reality of being the aged woman who has a grave responsibility to the younger women. Ding, ding, ding. That's where mine comes in. I'm always thinking like this now. Though the temptation is there, I have learned to overcome those temptations, to act crude or foolish for the sake of Christ, because I do not want to make a mockery of his good graces over my life. I would rather people look and see a woman who is gentle, meek, ladylike, and self-controlled, rather than a loose cannon that becomes the laughingstock of the room. My husband did not marry a clown. In our modern society, we have these reels that show embarrassing moments or crude gestures people do, like the first ones I shared with you of that woman and what she supposedly was making for her husband. That is embarrassing. If I was her husband, I'd be embarrassed she put that online. Even if it was just a joke and she never actually cooked like that for him, it doesn't matter. It's embarrassing that she put that out there and made herself look like a lazy woman. You know? Like lazy. It was not modest. It was not discreet. It was not sober. It was stupid. As you scroll through a few of these reels, you can see how intoxicating they become as the amount of views, likes, and shares they have. And let me tell you, that lady, for all the things that she did in those videos, she did have a lot of likes, a lot of comments, a lot of shares, and a lot of views. But they weren't because she was doing the right thing. Most of them, I bet, were only there to laugh. Some of them were there to be angry at what she was doing. Some of them were there, you know, probably to try and educate her a little bit. And I'm pretty sure she doesn't care. She thought it was funny. She thought it was a joke. It ain't funny and it wasn't a joke. People love silly and foolishly crude things. You'll see unseemly things like people doing bathroom type things or jiggling their fat to a song, things that ought not be seen or promoted. It is fun to laugh at another person's failings or foolishness. These sorts of things tend to get what we call a viral response, which means millions of views. Even the Bible talks of such things in Proverbs. The wisdom of a discreet man is to understand his way, and the imprudence of a fool's erreth. A fool will laugh at sin, but among the just grace shall abide. Proverbs 14:8-9. Dear precious ladies, I pray that you will learn to be discreet in your actions and use moderation in all you do. It is great to have fun, but not at the expense of others or to downgrade the beauty of who God created us to be as women. It is not enough to just behave better, but to also abstain from promoting such dumb foolery of the internet sensations. Amen. Lessons in etiquette, modesty. Charity does not behave itself unseemly. 1 Corinthians 13:5. I love that chapter. You guys know this. I quote it a lot. So here we go. Oops. Hold on. I have an avalanche. No avalanche. No avalanche of my stuffs. Okay. To behave unseemly, you would be acting... Oh, what? Sorry, y'all. I don't know what happened. My thing just out of nowhere just stopped all of a sudden. I don't know. What's going on here? Okay. What? What is happening? Okay, here we are. What? What? Where am I? Hold on, guys. I got lost on my page. What is happening? Here we are. Sorry, guys. Oi. Lessons in etiquette, modesty. Charity does not behave itself unseemly. 1 Corinthians 13:5. To behave unseemly, you would be acting inappropriately, against good womanly etiquette. If you have the law of charity inscribed on your heart, you will practice good etiquette. Etiquette for women has changed throughout history in many ways. When I was a little girl, I learned a lot from my grandmother about etiquette. I would stay at her home some weekends. My grandmother would snap at me if I put my feet on the sofa. You dasn't do that. I was not allowed to put my elbows on the table nor ask for anything to eat. You would just patiently wait your turn. Grandma, I don't know how to pronounce that name, was born in the early 1900s. The era in which she was brought up was very different from what we know today. I think my grandmother would be utterly disgusted at the unraveling of our society. There are some contrasts of what was appropriate in her time from what is appropriate to our society today, such as the code of dress for women of the early 1900s. Women always wore long skirts with petticoats under them. They wore long stockings and laced shoes. Corsets were used to help with posture and proper posture. The hair was grown long and often pulled back. Women wore hats if they were to appear in public. It was a disgrace to have anyone see you in your pajamas. Modern dress etiquette. In contrast, there is no code of dress today. You can see women in Walmart dressed in their pajamas and sometimes in their underwear. There are things I see women wearing that I am embarrassed to even look at. Their breasts pop out of their low-cut tops, and I have to fight against the pull of my eyes from looking down. I can't even imagine. how difficult it must be for a man to stop from staring. Can I just say one thing? It's also it's also a woman thing that we can't help it when somebody you know, is dressing strangely. We can't help but look. It's not like the way it is for a man. Like if it was a woman dressing inappropriately, a man can't help himself because that's the man's biology to look. You know what I mean? But for a woman, we're doing it because we're either comparing or judging, right? And so when we look, we're like, why? Know what I mean? Why? Women should be aware of this. Women have wild hairstyles, piercings. Let me tell you, there's this woman. She had the strangest piercing I've ever seen in my life. She had something in her nose. She looked like a freaking cow. You know how cows have those things in their nose in the cartoons? This woman I saw once had one of those. And I didn't understand why she was wearing a cow ring in her nose. Like if she was in a fight, that would be it. Somebody could just rip it out. That'd hurt. Just saying. Some of these people don't think ahead. Piercings, tattoos, gobs of dark makeup. Yes. What is it with this? Why do you guys have to put on all these weird makeup products? First of all, I watched a reel one day, okay? I'm gonna be honest here. I watched a reel one day of a woman putting on her makeup. Now the reel was, in a time lapse kind of thing, so it literally took her like 2 minutes. But I guarantee that 2 minutes was actually 2.5 hours. For all the things that she did. She washed her face, primed it, wiped it again, put something else on, wiped it again, put something else on, then moisturizer, and then some kind of like cover up. I don't even know what it was, honestly. I think it was foundation first, and then some kind of like powdered stuff to make it not so, wet looking, and then like another like concealer. It looked like concealer. It was lighter, and then darker one, bronzer, I guess they call it. I don't know. And then like contouring her face, she did. And then she finally was at the stage where she was doing her eyeshadow, and she did a lot of eyeshadow. Then she did I don't even know what that is. Like it's like a marker that you put on your eyelid. I don't know, marker. And then she did under her eyelash lid, like the lid of the. I didn't even know you could do that. Like you can put eyeliner on your eyelid under, not the under part like normal, but like the lid. You know what I mean? And then she put on mascara, and then she put fake eyelashes on. Why? More mascara. Then she drew around her lips with a pencil. Then she put on one shade of lipstick, and then another shade of lipstick, and then gloss. And then she sprayed her face with whatever it was. Why? Why do you have to do that to yourself? I bet at the end of the day when you're taking off all that makeup, it takes you just as long to take it off as it did to put it on. Why? You know what I do? I wash my face, right? I have my face wash stuff, serum, for the face, then the goat's milk. Then you want to know what I do? Poreless putty. That's it. Then I put a little bit of light pink eyeshadow on my eyes, and like maybe a little bit of like a peach or like a beige latte color under. And it's just the shadow, just the eyeshadow. I don't use eyeliner or anything like that. Done. And I go out like that. And I wear chapstick. My makeup routine takes me 3 minutes. 3 minutes. I don't draw my eyebrows. I don't do whatever she was doing. She was like brushing them and then drawing them and then brushing them some more and then like, I don't know. I don't know. You guys are weird. It's weird. I'm sorry. You can take offense to it all you want. It's weird. It's like you're putting makeup on like a clown. That's what I think of when I see these women. I look at them like they're clowns. Why? It doesn't make you look better. It makes you look like a clown. For real. Alright, let's get back to this. Women have wild hairstyles, piercings, tattoos, gobs of dark makeup, and dress in a way that appears so inappropriate that you wonder if they are a hooker. Bellies are visible. Pants are so tight they look as though they are painted on the legs, and it is all worn with pride. Not even a blush of the cheeks. It feels wrong and inappropriate, very unseemly. Even worse, we live in a world now where we have alphabet ideologies, men wearing seductive clothing of women who are called drag queens, who also dance in front of crowds of people in a manner that is a complete abomination in the sight of God. Amen. Amen. It is. It is. God created men and women to have distinct roles and never meant for these lines to be crossed in such vulgar, inappropriate ways. Amen. Amen. Children are taught it is okay to be a girl if you were born a boy, and that gender is not an absolute. Genesis 1:27. Genesis 1:27. Progressives do not even want to define what a woman is. I see this all the time on Charlie Kirk videos. Oh, I love those reels. I watch those reels like candy, okay? He's like sitting there, and then a liberal will come up and be like, so you think it's right to tell children that they have a mental illness when they think that they're somebody else? Where's your reasoning for this? And then Charlie Kirk is all like, what is a woman? It is whatever you want it to be. What? No. What is a woman? It is whatever you want it to be. I don't know what a woman is. Uh-huh. They think gender is fluid and can change depending on the day or the feeling a person has. This isn't clothing, y'all. Okay? It's biological. chromosomal, embedded in your DNA. You cannot change it. Doesn't happen. Sorry to burst that very sensitive bubble. What a perversion of what is true and absolute. It is astonishing how many people turn a deaf ear or a blind eye to truth of such basic things as gender. I mean, if we cannot observe different genders in plant life, animal life, anywhere else in nature, then what we're doing is just creating new things that don't exist. You understand? It's fantasy. It's not real. Moving on. My cross-dressing story. What? She cross-dressed? I was a tomboy once upon a time, so maybe this is something similar to that. When I was in my last year of college, I was newly married and pregnant. As I got bigger and bigger, I cut my hair shorter and shorter. I started to wear my husband's large shirts to cover my enormous belly. That's not cross-dressing. I did the same thing. For one, it's very difficult for a pregnant woman as she's getting bigger and bigger to wash a whole head of hair. So yeah, I cut my hair short so it'd be easier to wash my hair. And yeah, I wore baggy t-shirts because I didn't want to look fat. I owned a pair of karate pants, which were very comfortable, so I would often wear them under his sweatshirts. I no longer walked to my classes, for by this time I was waddling. There was often a gay pride parade going on at my school with rainbows and purple triangles decorating the campus. I knew a lot of people attracted to the opposite sexes, and I was people attracted to the same sexes. Sorry. Excuse me. I didn't want to say that word because it's banned. And I was friendly with most of the ones I met. I am too. I treat them with respect and dignity. They deserve it. I never tried to tell them what to be or not be. I love them. Absolutely. That's what we're supposed to do as Christians. I hated when Christians paraded around with hellfire banners damning them. That's not the way to do it. I knew it was not the right way to win someone. I was a bit of a liberal-minded Democrat at the time because I was raised to see people, not religion, race, or sexual orientation. My parents taught me to let people do what they want and treat people with respect. One of my classes was sociology. Oh, no wonder she was a liberal. These indoctrination camps. It was a required class for my teaching degree. I sat in between two women who were in love, I'm going to say, because I can't say that word, it's banned. They had hair like mine, and we often talked. As we were speaking about some insignificant matter, in walked in a very scandalous-looking woman as our guest speaker that day. She had long wavy hair, long legs covered in fishnet tights. A little leather mini skirt was around her waist, and the clicking of her high heels announced her presence. We all stared straight at her with our eyes bugging out of our heads. wondering why we had a woman who looked like a hooker speaking to us. Or anyway, that was what I was wondering. "Hey," he said in a gruff voice. It was a man. We all sat there, every one of us, attracted to the same sex or straight, with our eyes wide in disbelief. He introduced himself as a married man who was straight and married to a woman with 2 sons at home. For some reason, I was so appalled, so confused, and felt the gumption to stand to my feet and say, "How can you dress like a lady in front of your boys? Don't you think that's confusing?" He stopped and looked a long, sharp look at me, running his eyeballs up and down my figure, checking me out. As his expression became cynical, he said, "Well, you look like a guy. How come it's okay for you to dress like a man, yet it is not okay for me to dress like a woman?" I was stopped dead in my tracks. My face changed 5 shades of red as I pondered his reaction. I had to examine myself for a moment, think about what I was wearing, and figure this out. Yes, he was right. I was silent. He was right. I was silent. There was nothing I could say as I sat my humbled self back down. I was dressed in men's clothes. My hair was cut short. I did not have any makeup on. I looked more like a guy than a girl. I'd never thought about this before. It was a wake-up moment in my life. I started to see a very valid point. More girls look like guys, and it's entirely socially acceptable. I also know that a guy donning dresses and makeup is considered drag. It's not everyday attire. You don't often see guys dressing like that. And if they did, it would not be as acceptable as a girl dressed as a tomboy. I felt this overwhelming sense of the gender blending of our society. When I returned home, I looked at myself in the mirror, unlike I've ever looked at myself before. For the first time, I saw what he saw that day. A boy. My entire wardrobe was jeans, karate pants, unisex t-shirts, and big boots that looked militant. It took a bit for me to allow this to sink into my heart, but even to this day, I have tried to remain consistent. If I feel it's confusing for a guy to dress like a woman, I should not dress like a guy. Bottom line. It was not a religious reason, nor did I put that on anyone else, even though it would prove to be another reason people would persecute me. I remember the first time I started wearing dresses. People said, "Why are you dressed up? How come you feel you need to wear dresses? You are getting legalistic, and that is a dangerous spot to be in." I couldn't believe the reactions I was getting for dressing like a lady. It made me want to do it all the more, just because it was such a controversial way to dress. Increasingly enough, even in the church. I had Christians saying this to me, which was strange since it was only several decades ago that all women wore dresses or skirts to church. It shouldn't matter how a person dresses, so long as they feel right in their heart before God about it. I found that I had a conviction from that day forward. My wardrobe changed, but that did not change who I was. It's a sensitive subject, I have found, because others think you're judging them by your choice in what you wear. It's just clothing, nothing to argue over. Now, I want to say something real quick. When I came to Jesus, at that time, I think if you were around at that time, before 2020, like if you were around during 2018, 2019, further back a little bit, I would often dress in baggy clothes, pants, sometimes skirts, girly tops mostly, sometimes manly tops. And it was because I was comfortable in that kind of attire, you know what I mean? I didn't want to be like uncomfortable, so I wanted to wear comfortable clothing that I related with, and that's what I related with all kinds of different kinds of things, right? Unknowingly, wearing pants or shorts or anything like that is a distinction between men and women. Women are supposed to wear skirts and dresses. Men are supposed to wear shorts and pants. This is just known, you know what I mean? It should be known at least. But I find that not many people know this. And when I brought it up after coming to Christ, I too was called legalistic, and a whole bunch of things were said about me. And people were literally taking screenshots of videos of me from the past wearing pants, yoga pants, capris, you know, my husband's pajama pants, things of this nature. And they were taking these pictures and showing me, oh, you were just wearing this like a couple of years ago, blah, blah, blah. And I thought, yeah, but 2 Corinthians 5:17, like, there should be a change in you when you come to Christ. If there's not a visible change in you when you come to Christ, there's no fruit being born from the planting of you in the body of Christ. We're grafted into the vine. He is the vine, right? We are the branches. Are we not supposed to bear fruit? 2 Corinthians 5:17, y'all. 2 Corinthians 5:17. So, I started dressing like a woman. I stopped wearing pants, shorts, all that kind of stuff. I will say this. In the winter, I wear leggings under my skirts because I need the extra warmth. But I don't wear leggings by themselves. You will not catch me in pants. Never again. Or shorts. But I was a tomboy when I was a little girl. It was just comfortable, you know, like girls go through a phase where they just want to be comfortable, especially in their early teens when they're going through puberty and they start their moon cycle. Women are very uncomfortable during their moon cycle. They're bloated, they're hormonal, they feel gross, and I don't know how many people are aware of this, but it's quite a messy time for a woman. So we like to be comfortable. You know what I mean? That's why during my moon cycle, I usually just stay undressed when I'm at home. In my night dress and house coat. That's basically what I wear at home. And I only wear dark colors when I'm going out because it's my moon cycle. Never know. Right? I don't see anything wrong with that though. And I don't understand why cross-dressing men dressing like women would bring that up like it's a thing to shut it down. You know what I mean? Like, first of all, men will never know what it's like to have a moon cycle. They will never understand. Okay? It is so painful and so irritating. That's why everything annoys us around that time. You have to imagine it like this. Your stomach is full and bloated, okay? There's like pain with that, okay? There's a pain with it. Not just that, but our lower abdominal is constantly contracting. So it's like a mini labor, okay? Because it's squeezing. It's squeezing. You know? That's painful. Not just that, but some women like me go through the leg pain, like between the thighs. It hurts. The thighs area is very sensitive, hurts a lot. One leg, my sciatic nerve goes crazy in my left leg, and my whole left leg goes numb during the first 3 days of my moon cycle. So I literally can't do much. You feel nauseous, sick, like, and hungry all at once. It's really messed up. You're hungry, but you feel gross. You eat and then you feel worse. It's not fun. Okay, so that guy cannot use that as a punchline to shut a woman up about drag queens. Okay? That ain't fair. Because first of all, men dressing up like women is making a mockery of women. And I'm going to tell you why. Because it's saying that women are just a costume to be put on whenever you want to feel pretty, and then to take off when you want to feel like a man. That's not what a woman is. A woman is an adult, female, born girl. It's a adult, female. That's what a woman is. That's the definition in the Oxford Dictionary of 1986, and that's the definition that we should be using today. A woman is an adult female who was born a girl. With chromosomes XX. What is a man? An adult male who was born a boy with XY chromosomes. We need to stop with the fantasies around here, man. And just before you go and attack me, what about intersexuals? What about those who are born with XXY or XYY or any variation of? First of all, in science, they call that abnormal. What does abnormal mean? It means not the normal. It is not the average. It's not the right way. So when something is abnormal, it does not mean that it's contrary to popular belief. It also doesn't prove the rule. The exception doesn't prove the rule. 9 times out of 10, you're born a girl or a boy, chromosomes XX or XY. If you have a mutation, an abnormal mutation, known birth defects, which are real, scientifically proven and documented, then there are some strange abnormalities in people. And yes, they can have an extra chromosome. That does not prove extra genders. That does not prove other genders. Because those people with that abnormality and those birth defects can't procreate. You want to know why? Because they weren't made to procreate. Because they're not normal. They're not allowed. They're not a new species or anything. They just can't. You can only procreate if you are male to a female. Not male to male, not female to female, not weird third chromosome to weird third chromosome. None of that can happen. When you are born in the normal chromosomes that you were given and you procreate with the opposite sex, that is when you can have an offspring. You can impregnate a woman, or a woman can be impregnated, because that was God's design from the beginning. Genesis 1:27, as I said. This is just truth. And I know it's offensive to all of these liberals out there. All of them. And guess what? Truth sounds like hate to those who hate the truth. It's not hateful to say the truth. They hate it. That's why it feels like hate. They hate the truth, so they say truth is hateful. But it's actually not. God says in the Bible that when you love someone, you will tell them the truth. And if you are dishonest with someone, you don't love them. You hate them. And I think it's about time that we just literally smack this out of the world. It's just stupid, okay? So, okay, let's continue on. Practice charity in modesty. If you want to practice charity in your dress, you will dress with discretion. I am not saying you need to have a dress code like that of the early 1900s, but not to behave unseemly by revealing too much of your body that it forces others to gawk at you. The line of discretion is blurred with each passing year in the evolution of fashion. A person can dress modestly and still be fashionable. It takes effort to find appropriate looking attire these days, but many ladies can pull it off. Modesty is a touchy subject for many women. They feel offended if you mention it. I heard a young man once say that he felt safe around a woman who dresses more modestly. As women, we have power with our bodies. We can tempt or shield temptation. And yet there are men that are so far gone that you could wear a tent and they will somehow find pleasure in their twisted imagination. For the most part, to dress unseemly would be in the intent of the heart, whether you are trying to get that attention you seek. Some of us are dense. I sometimes wear something that I think is cute. I like the color of the top because it goes with my skirt perfectly. It still has to pass the husband test. My husband will send me back to the dressing room if I wear a shirt that is too snug or a shirt that displays cleavage when I bend over. He is a good discerner as to what is appropriate for me. Each family should judge for themselves what they agree is appropriate, since there is no code for dress in the modern world and no exact prescription of dress noted in the scriptures. That's not true. It's actually very, very noted in the scriptures. Teaching my girls about modesty. My mother brought us 2 pretty white dresses for the girls when they were only 8 and 9 years old from another family. They were pretty and very long. My daughter Molly asked me, "Do you think white and peach go well together?" I said, "Why?" She said, "Well, look up at the top. My skin is showing so much. I just wondered if that looks good, white with peach." I know that she was feeling uncomfortable with the spaghetti straps of the bodice, so I told her, "You know what, darling, you can put a white t-shirt under it if you feel better about that." And she was happy, and I let her do that. I would never want to make her feel half naked. Most parents forget about the modesty issue. The churches forget to teach about it, and kids start looking just like the rest of the world, leaving it all hanging out. It is surprising to me how many Christians are oblivious to modesty. You go to the churches and see girls, young girls, looking half dressed and ready to go out looking for a mate. It is nice to look nice, but not too far as to cross the line of your own purity and integrity. I realize some people have been slowly leaning in that direction, so slowly that they don't realize it when it is already normal to their children. They are putting immodest attire on their little girls, and all of a sudden they realize their daughter is becoming a young lady who looks desirable. It would be hard to teach a young girl that it is not good to dress that way after she has grown accustomed to that way of dressing. She would not even be one bit ashamed to have a bikini on. When Molly and Megan were young ladies, they seemed to keep the pattern I laid before them. They had their own convictions on dress. I did not tell them what to wear. They made their own decisions in that area, and I trusted them. They did not flaunt their bodies toward the boys. When other girls dressed inappropriately, they were the first to notice. I just talked to them about it. I asked them to questions on how they thought about it, which is good because it allowed them to articulate their own minds on the matter. In their teen years, they felt torn about wearing dresses all the time because they were in a community where all the girls were wearing pants. I had them wearing dresses or skirts for so many years, and it was my idea of what we should look like, and there came a time when I nearly ruined my relationship with my daughters over this. I demanded they comply, and they would shrink away in disgust for my strict religious guidelines. They pointed out that other families we admired were also Christian, but the women wore pants. It was a battle for me because of my own pride. I wanted my daughters to look the part of the homestead pioneer woman, and one evening, as I cried about it, my husband said, "Don't let a few inches of fabric or a pair of pants ruin your relationship with your daughters." I immediately saw the sense in his declaration. I repented of my pride and my control over them now that they were in a new season of life. I cried to my daughters, "I will trust you to dress for Jesus. I know you will have a different style than I choose, but I will respect you to dress modestly and femininely by your own convictions from now on. To my amazement, this beautiful conversation restored our fellowship, and it created in them a responsibility to live up to God's standards, not mine. For them to live up to God's standards is way better than any standards I could contrive on my own. They felt free, and in that freedom, they did not take it as an occasion to sin, but to glorify God. Now my daughters love to be modest and feminine. Megan even loves sewing dresses for her and her daughter, just like I did all those years ago. If I had squashed her with my rules, she would have probably taken a different path, and we would not be best friends as we are to this day. My girls come to me with lots of questions and trust that I will not meddle in their lives, but encourage and be a Titus 2 woman in their lives, and to glorify God. Unseemly behavior of a flirt. Flirting is to behave as though attracted or trying to attract someone, but for amusement rather than with serious intentions. Beware, flirting is definitely unseemly. When you flirt, you are not acting with good etiquette or propriety. Flirting is a form of manipulation which is meant to draw the attention of men by way of moving the body and batting the eyes. It is not practicing good charity that embodies unlimited love and kindness if we lead others on. You could be the most modestly dressed woman, but if you behave unseemly in a manner that leads men on, you are not concerned about their soul. So for today, I think I'll end it here, and I will continue tomorrow in this chapter. I think that this is a good chapter that we're reading currently. I'm putting my bookmark in here so that I don't lose the page. And I really want y'all to think about what I said. The videos I showed in the beginning of that woman and what she was making for her supposed husband was a disgrace. That would be embarrassing for any man if a woman was putting that online. Even if it was just for jokes or laughs or whatever she was doing it for. It's embarrassing. I don't even know how, if she was married, how her husband would be okay with her posting that. Like, it's embarrassing. It's embarrassing to him because she's showing how lazy she is. It's embarrassing to her because it's showing how lazy she is. It's embarrassing for their marriage because she doesn't care much if she is cooking like that for him. I don't understand how anyone could look at those videos, think it was funny, and then be like, oh, it's just a joke. Why are you so uptight about it? I would not post a video like that where I'm making disgusting slop. I would not. I literally have a playlist on YouTube with some of my delicious recipes in there, just so y'all can see what real food looks like. Real ingredients. Lord have mercy. Oh, that was so gross. I can't even fathom how anyone could watch those and think that that was okay. That was, I mean, seriously, if that was her feeding that to a child, it would be considered neglect. Think about it like that. You would consider that neglect if that was fed to a child. And if you wouldn't think that that was neglect, then you might have a problem. And you need to see a counselor. Anyway, y'all, that's it for today. I'll see you guys tomorrow. Love y'all. Later for now. Good night. See y'all in the mornings. Later for now.